So I've been seeing a lot of artists on YouTube with these awesome sketchbook tour videos. They got these beautiful little sketchbooks and they're full of awesome drawings. But this is my sketchbook. This thing is huge. And really it's a working sketchbook. So when I'm doing commissioned art, I'm taking visual notes before I complete the drawing for the client. So a lot of this is like master studies and sketches for commissioned art that I was doing. And so I made my decision. I decided I'm not going to be one of those artists who don't have a cool sketchbook anymore. So I went down to Hobby Lobby and I got me this cool sketchbook. I think it's a good size. The paper looks good. It says it's mixed media, or for mixed media. And I decided that I was going to do the 100 Heads Challenge. The original 100 Heads Challenge was started by Ahmed Al-Duri, and the challenge was to draw 100 heads in 10 days from a Pinterest board of 100 faces. And I'll put a link to that Pinterest board in the description of the video. But I'm going to make up my own rules. I want to slow down and learn something from each of the drawings that I do in this sketchbook. And I'm going to be exaggerating and just having fun with each one. I'm still going to refer back to that Pinterest board because there are several faces on that I really want to draw. But I am not going to stick to it perfectly. Now I'm going to tell you one of my crazy artist opinions. So, forgive me in advance if I make anybody angry, but I have to be honest. And that is, I see a lot of hyper-realistic drawing on YouTube and on Instagram, and to be honest, I really don't like that type of drawing. When I first started sketching, especially with a pencil, I did a sketch one time of my sister, and I just took a lot of time to really sketch in the details and make it look exactly like the photo. And when I was done, it looked exactly like a black and white photo. And I figured out something. That is not fun at all. It's very mechanical, believe it or not. You're measuring eyes and you're measuring noses against ears and you're measuring light areas, you're measuring shadow areas. And so your biggest tool is a ruler almost when you're drawing something hyper realistic. And the kicker to the whole thing is that a photocopy machine can do a much better job than you much quicker. You're basically doing by hand what a photocopy machine can do, or a camera. So what is the purpose behind that? Of course, it's satisfying to see that you've done it and that a human can do the same thing that a machine can do, but there's no creativity in it whatsoever. So that's why I love caricatures, because it's all imagination. It's all pushing and stretching, cartoony. There is lots of creativity in cartoons and caricatures. I also watch some other artists, and they paint, and it kind of looks realistic, but the way they're painting, they're very stylish, and they're using these brushes and swaths of color, and they're not blending very much. So when you back up, it looks fantastic, almost realistic. But when you look close, you can see each stroke of color. And so there's something original to it. There's something awesome about it. It has creativity in it. And so when I see an artist who has hyper-realism, I basically look past that as fast as I can. I think that's boring as it could possibly be. But when I see an artist who is drawing from his imagination and putting all kinds of creativity into it, those are the artists that I really like. Okay, I also wanted to point out that the first drawing I did of the guy with the top hat, I really hated that drawing. It was a case of you see a photo of a face and you just can't wait to draw it. But then when you draw it, it doesn't come out nowhere near as good as you hoped it would. And so, because the first one didn't come out great, I was a little nervous about starting the second one. But I felt like it started coming together and it wasn't that bad. I think the goal of this sketchbook is to improve, to get better at what I do. I draw commissioned art a lot, and I work at events, so I'm often like practicing to go to an event. But I want to get better at drawing from my imagination, like creating my own stuff. And so that is the skill I want to develop, and I want to use this sketchbook to help me do that. And I might push past my boredom and try to do a few realistic studies, but that's just so that I can do my sketching from imagination even better. Both of these faces are in the 100 Heads Pinterest board, and this is another face that I couldn't wait to draw because of the asymmetry of the face. If you put your hand over half of her face, the left side of her face looks suspicious. If you cover the other side, the right side of her face looks sort of surprised. And so I love that difference between the left and the right side. And so I couldn't wait to draw it. And I messed up a little bit on this drawing also. I think on the right side of the face, I didn't put enough space between the eye and the edge of the face where the ear starts. But at least I could see what mistakes I made, and then I'll be making sure that I look for that next time. I feel like this second drawing is a lot better than the first drawing that I did, and that's exactly what I want to see happen. I'm hoping that every drawing I put in the sketchbook gets a little bit better as I go. And I'm hoping that when it's all done, I can flip through it and see a progression of improvement throughout the whole sketchbook. That would be fantastic. So, if you draw as a hobby or as a professional and you want to give this sketchbook challenge a try, then I encourage you to buy a sketchbook and start working on it, fill every page. This sketchbook I'm using is 8 inches by 8 inches, mixed media. I got it from Hobby Lobby. It's called the Master's Touch is the brand name. I've never had one of these before, but so far it's pretty good. And let me know in the comments if you want to sort of create your own challenge in Sketchbook. And so at this point is where my whole plan went off the rails. I know I was going to do the 100 Heads challenge and put a face or a head on every page. But on this one, I actually drew a T-Rex head. So I guess you would say it actually is a head, it's just not a person's head. And then once I started that, I liked the way the sketch was going. And then I just went crazy with it. And I totally started sketching from my imagination. I ended up adding horns and things to the T-Rex. I even added like the beginnings of wings and a little cartoon character riding on his back. So I guess it turned from a T-Rex into more like a dragon in a fantasy world situation. And so I think I'm going to change my plan. I'm going to keep working on the 100 Heads challenge, but like every other page or every so often, I'm just going to draw something from my imagination into this sketchbook. And hopefully continue to improve, because I think when I draw from my imagination, that muscle, so to speak, gets stronger. And I'm just going to keep working it and see how it goes. I also want to encourage you not to underestimate the power of your artwork to bless people. A long time ago, I was doing art as a hobby, doing caricatures as a hobby. And a friend of mine was going home for Christmas. They were going to see their grandfather, and their grandfather used to work in Hollywood painting movie posters for the movies, because back in the 50s or maybe early 60s, movie posters weren't done from photos, they were done from paintings. And so he asked me to do a caricature of his grandfather, and I did it. So the little drawing I did was not that great because I was just a beginning artist, but I did the drawing, gave it to my friend, and he took it home. So when he came back after the Christmas holidays, he told me that his grandfather received lots of gifts from all the family members, and then he gave him the simple little caricature, and that his grandfather saw the caricature and started crying, and they were surprised. And then they figured out it was like tears of joy, that the grandfather was touched very strongly by that simple drawing of him. And I know my drawing was not that great, but that just kind of illustrates the power of a drawing in somebody's life. So if you draw as a hobby or professionally, you have a gift that can really be a blessing to other people, and I encourage you to use it. So okay, that's my first official sketchbook video. Now you notice I left the first couple of pages empty because I want to add a table of contents when it's all done so that I can look stuff up fast. This was actually the first drawing, and it's decent, but I wasn't that happy with it. The cross-hatching is all over the place, but I'm going to get better. And then the second one I thought was much better. I'm liking it a lot. And then of course this one, when I went off the rails and just drew from my imagination for the fun of it. And also it kind of bled through a little bit, so I don't know if I'm going to put anything on this page. And then I've got lots of other pages to fill. So if you'd like to see me fill the sketchbook on other videos, let me know in the comments. Or if you'd like to see me flip through it when it's all filled. And just to let you know, I ordered some markers, some flesh tone markers. I've never done a marker only portrait, and I can't wait to try those out. They're supposed to be getting here tomorrow. But let me know in the comments if you like this, and I hope you start your own sketchbook, and I'll see you soon on the next video.